Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Davis and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am hard to kill, but enough about that because I have with me cosplayer Jessi Flowz. So welcome to the
Jessi
show.
Flowz.
Flowz, my bad. I can't read today apparently. Um Jessi Flowz, there we go. It's a Z. It's a Z. My
Yes.
eyesight's going bad. Not good. But obviously you're a cosplayer, you do a lot of cool stuff. We're gonna talk about it.
Yes.
You're interesting to say the least. But before we get into why and we're gonna talk all about this stuff, why don't you introduce who you are? Because some people know who you are and some people don't. And obviously you're a cosplayer, you're on Instagram, you do some other stuff. So why don't you quickly introduce yourself before we get into all the fun
Hi,
topics?
everybody. My name is Jessi. I am a cosplayer and a Pilates teacher in Gotham, right? I live in Brooklyn, New York with my two cats. I started doing cosplay. I mean, it's hard to really say when I started doing cosplay because I started dressing up as Madonna in about 1985 when I was a really, really young girl. I'm a little bit older than most of the cosplayers, and that's been a little bit of my drive. I think that I had a few circumstances in my life that just led me to just start things a little bit later. So part of what I do is just to inspire people to never give up, that you're never too old to start something new, whether it's cosplay, whether it's working out. I am 47 and I am still actually the cover on certain boudoir and cosplay magazines. So I'm also a boudoir and cosplay model. Additionally to that, I am a self-taught makeup artist. I started doing cosplay when I got divorced and I didn't have a lot of money. And this was around 2018, 2019. And I just really started doing it with makeup. So I was doing a lot of face painting and stuff like that. So I was really big on using what I had as opposed to, having really big elaborate budgets for really outstanding cosplays, which I mean, that's valid too. But I think a lot of people just starting out, it's very intimidating to get started. So that's really been my drive is I wanted to use cosplay to inspire people to stay healthy and to feel good about themselves.
Cool. So let's talk about all this because the thing I want to talk about first is that there's a lot of interesting stuff with older cosplayers, and I've had a bunch on. I've had Paradox cosplay on. I've had Nikki cosplay on. I like her. I've had a few older, gentlemen who are cosplayers as well, and I think that it's really interesting. I think AMC cosplay, I want to say, or AMH cosplay. The names mixed up, but I think she runs the over 40 cosplay Instagram, or she's
Oh
like,
yeah, I can't say I've been super welcomed by a lot of the cosplayers. I'll be really honest with you, and some of that is actually because of my status as a boudoir model, and on and off I have an OnlyFans page. So I will actually have a conversation about that because I do feel that I've been ostracized because of my status as an OnlyFans girl. I do feel that some of these pages have actually eliminated me and won't feature me because of that. So we can have a conversation about that if
so
you like.
I do want to talk about that because that's fascinating too. Because obviously, I mean, I don't get ostracized for who I interview, and I don't really
Oh,
give a
I do.
uh,
I get
but
ostracized
I
for
don't
who
give
I
a
am.
fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm very open about it. I just don't care. If you don't
Oh, I
let
don't
me
care
sit,
either.
if you don't let me sit at the table, I've built my own. The whole reason how this whole thing started almost 10 years ago is that I didn't have a seat at the table, and I built my own table, and I built my own house, and it's my house, my rules, which is nice. But what is this like? Because I feel that there is some prejudice with over 40 cosplayers. I think that it's somewhat dumb to some degree because if you're 25 and or you're a convention or if you're discriminating or being prejudiced, eventually if you're 25, you're going to be 40. It's coming
Well,
eventually.
it's not so much that I experience prejudice, it's so much the judgmentalness of the younger cosplayers. So there's all these rules that have sprouted up, and I think actually there's this whole controversy. One of these Italian cosplayers posted something along the lines a reel or a TikTok saying the truth about cosplay, and I think the context of these posts was they were saying that people of a certain look, if you're a certain weight, you shouldn't be doing. Basically, they're shaming people that don't look just like the character. They were basically trying to be exclusive. That if you don't have a certain look, they were basically being the mean girls of the cosplay community. So this is something that I see very often from within the community, whereas before it's like, sure, if you post a picture, maybe you're a plus size cosplayer, you get hate from outside, but this is now the community kind of cannibalizing itself, and I see it coming more from the younger cosplayers. So like if I tag a group, like they'll be like, who's that cosplay? And like one time I was just dressed up as like a Playboy bunny girl, and they were like, you have to have your bunny girl has to be with another costume. I was like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I've been cosplaying since a long time. I went to Burning Man for 10 years and I designed my own costumes. And before that, I was a club kid with outrageous costumes. So if you really want to get into it, I've been doing this costume game for a while. I don't make my own right now because I'm too busy producing cosplay workout videos in addition to my full-time job as a Pilates teacher. So I just don't make too many of my own cosplays. It's not because I don't have the skills. I do have the skills. It's just very time consuming. But there's all these rules now. And that's what I find very, very, very discerning. And that I've also spoken to many people of color in the cosplay community and many people of different sizes who have felt, and you constantly see these posts that kind of shame people, you know, my friends who are of color and cosplay characters that aren't necessarily, you know, Black characters, they get these comments and they're just awful, awful, saying that character is not Black. I mean, it's gross.
So I mean, look, I see things like that, but I also don't see things like that where, you know, because what I think it is that, and this is just my theory, is that people want to put people down because it's easier to burn something down if you're not rising up to the level. And it happens in comics all the time. There's a lot of drama in comics, and I know it more because I recognize the pattern. So I don't think necessarily that is the majority. I don't know if it is or it isn't.
No, but the human brain is wired to pick up negative feedback at a much higher rate than positive.
It's a different beast, though, collectively, because getting ratioed on X or Twitter or on Instagram is not the same thing. Because I don't think you could theoretically get ratioed at a convention. I don't think it works the same, right? But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, right? That doesn't mean that if you're being cyberbullied, it doesn't have an adverse effect on you.
Oh, you're actually way off base with this because according to studies, being cyberbullied has the same effect on the brain as being bullied in real life. You can read up on this. Your brain does not compute the difference between an in-person reaction and this is proven. This is proven. I'm not pulling this out of my butt. I don't have a source on me right now.
I don't think I think we're on the same page because I just said that it can have the exact same adverse effect.
Yeah. It does. It's not can. It does. Like this has been studied. It absolutely does.
Fair enough.
So I mean, that's why there's like these young kids committing suicide over being cyberbullied.
Again. The reason why I say can is because everybody's different, and I don't want to start making generalizations.
Well, boomers are just fine with everything, right? I mean, we can just go around and cyberbully boomers because they'll just take everything. Back in their day, everybody just called them names, right?
I was interviewing a gay voice actor, and I couldn't ask him when I was asking for an interview to talk about it, but he played one of my favorite roles, which for this show called Skate, which definitely has like feelings that these two kids are feeling, but they don't know how to come into adulthood. Great. And David Wald, and he's not going to mind me saying his name, he said, is it cool if we talk about this whole thing? And, you know, I'm a gay voice actor. And I said to him, I couldn't ask you that. Like when I asked you for an interview, it would have been like so out of line. It's like, dude, I'm a guy from like the 1980s when Reagan was in office. Nothing offends me. And I'm like, I can't ask you. It's rude. Like, so again, nothing offends him. He's like, it'll take a lot for you to offend me. And obviously I wasn't going to offend him. And we had an awesome interview. And I was so happy because I love the show Skate and he plays a character in it. But the point is that I couldn't ask. I really want to talk about gayness and Skate, man. And I know, like, I couldn't do that. Like, I couldn't like ask it.
Well, in the 80s, I know, especially in pop culture, it's a very weird time because if you look at the pictures of men, they were so feminine looking, right? Like they were so like fluffy, right? They had like this fluffy hair, and they were like wearing makeup. Well, David Bowie, like, did you ever look at Poison? Fuck Bowie. I mean, Bowie was just the start of it. Prince was just the start of it. Like look at pictures of like Poison and Whitesnake, yes, and Nikki Sixx back then, and there was another band, Warrant. Oh my God, the guy from Warrant was prettier than most of the girls on the planet at that time. It was just like
Warrant did Cherry Pie, right? Isn't that Warrant?
Yes. Yes, that was Warren. And also the guy from Whitesnake was also really gorgeous. Whitesnake was famously had that, I think she finally just, did she die recently? I think it was, I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong. The girl who was so super famous in the 80s for like being on all of the cars and the videos with the red hair. She was like doing a split on every single 80s like hair rock video. What was her name? She was a model. Tawny Katane. Tawny Katane.
So, I mean, again, getting back to the whole cosplay thing, because again, I mean,
the getting back to that is the weird thing about that time was they were so homophobic, right? So it's like they'd be sitting there dressed like girls, calling like going through like, you know, like gay slurs, like anything. And this was like also like around the same time as when like, you know, AIDS was like raging, and it was very like, I remember they were like it was very commonplace to like hear things very openly, like AIDS kills fags dead. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I hate to even like say that like this candidly, but like you have to understand this was the climate then. So you have this dichotomy of feminine girls, feminine looking guys in a climate of super macho culture that was putting down gayness, but like half of the actors were gay. You know what I'm saying? And there was so much, if you look at it, like it was so homoerotic, right? It's just like when you're looking at some of these shots of like Miami, you know what I'm saying? It's like Miami Vice and like all these other like movies. It's just like, it was a weird time with sexuality. It really just was, because there were so many mixed messages. Like I remember watching when Prince died, I rewatched Purple Rain. That movie is so problematic. I mean, like, no wonder I wound up in abusive relationships. I mean, Prince is like, Apollonia gets slapped around so much in that movie. Like, it would just, that movie could never exist. That movie would never, Prince would be so canceled. And not even that, it's just like, what's his name? The singer from the other guy, he is so high. He is so coked out that he's not even acting. He's just like, he's so, and it, like, if you read about the movie, like, they had to like adjust. He was so messed up that they had to like adjust everything to like attempt to get him. And it's so bad watching it, but like, I worshiped that movie as a kid. I was just like, how was I even allowed to watch this? Like, but I was.
I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born in 93. I watched a bunch of good stuff from the 80s, watched a bunch of good anime, wasn't messed up from it. And maybe this is why I have a different viewpoint. But, you know, I do want to get back to this whole thing with 40-year-old cosplayers, because I also think that, you know, and this is just how I view it, is that I think that there's challenges. And I think it goes back to the idea that people can't rise up and go beyond. But I also think people forget that, you know, to some degree, people want to see people who they assimilate with, right? I'm 32. My audience that watches this show is, you know, ranges from 28 to about 48. So it's that 20-year gap. I'm not targeting an 18-year-old because it's an intellectual show. It's an idea for you know, this, and it's long form conversations. And so the audience that wants this is a particular age group. And so,
I do comics cosplay. I do Barbie. I don't do these I do the classic stuff I know. And that's what I was saying. I think I was talking to you a little bit earlier. I don't throw out my cosplays. I don't sell my cosplays very rarely. I've been building on my Harley Quinn cosplay collection now for 8 years. Do you know what I'm saying? I've had one of my Leia since 2012. Like I have 5 Leia costumes. I mean, 3 of them are worth very good money. I try not to pay full price for these things. I do get them a lot secondhand in the within eBay, Depop, Mercari, all of those Poshmark, those platforms. So I'm not paying full price, but I hold on to everything. So I think that within the niches I've chosen, I'm kind of protected from some of the hate that you might see. Like I'm not doing Arcane. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing Jinx. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing what's the other one that everybody is doing? Bayonetta, or there's other characters where there's all these 25-year-old girls doing them where I'm not in that arena. It's just like
let me ask this, because obviously, I mean, I have a very negative view on that, where I think a lot of people are seeking attention. I really do. I
well,
think
I
a
think
lot.
that's the entire internet.
I
That was real.
I don't run a business to seek attention. I don't need an award to run my business. Like I don't need to be, oh Andrew, you're running a business, you did X amount of dollars. Like I don't really care, because the reward is that I'm making a profit selling items. And that's the concept, right? I don't need an award at my job either, because I'm getting a paycheck. Is everyone nice every once in a while? Somebody says, oh, you did a good job with that, man. But like I think that's what's going on to some degree, is that everybody is seeking attention. And I think a lot of these people are trying to break in. And if you're 23, 24, 25, you see a cosplayer potentially making a lot of money, and don't you want to get that too? And I think it's a problem, because I think that, yeah, you can make money in everything theoretically, but if you want to make real money, you got to bring some to the table. And I think there's been a massive misconception on how tough the cosplay industry is to make money in.
It's very tough, and that is why a lot of people are turning to things like OnlyFans. OnlyFans, especially if you're a 23-year-old attractive girl, is going to be a little bit easier than trying to get sponsorships from brands. And it's very hard to get to a level where you're even getting sponsored. Cosplay doesn't have a set rate. Sometimes like Marvel, if you're making costumes. Now I don't make my costumes. If you're making costumes, people will hire you, but there is like a pretty privileged factor with that. Let's be very real. Like the people who are the top cosplayers making costumes are also modeling their costumes, right? So who's to say if they're even the best cosplay makers, because the best cosplay makers might not be as attractive as they are, so they not have a platform to showcase, and they might not be able to get. So this is it's a funky thing, right? So it's kind of like social media is the only place where this could even exist. Before social media, cosplay was very underground, and there was no clear path. Maybe a photographer could make some money.
I'll throw you something in which, and I'll give you an interesting comparable. Cosplay is like indie wrestling, where
Yes.
the indie wrestling, you got to pay a lot of your dues, and you got to get real fucking lucky. Now, if you're good and you're exceptional, and there are people who are like the king of the indies, and I speak to a lot of independent wrestlers, and there's been people who've been on the ground floor or something, and they've become really, really big, and they make it to a place like AEW or WWE or New Japan or whatever. They make real good money. But like a lot of people now, obviously now what's happening is that there's a lot more liberation with it, and you could be an independent wrestler killing it and making like 300,000 if you're good and you know how to market yourself. But that's just it. You need a boatload of skills, where the best independent wrestlers who make 300,000 or more are the best marketers.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you're going to be selling some sort of digital content, and there's all different ways to do that. Some people are artists. I mean, Twitch streaming is and gaming, that is a huge part. That's obviously not something I do. I do not game, but that can be very, and YouTube now is also because I think I've like played around with streaming a little bit. It's not really for me. I just don't want that kind of 24/7 sort of attachment to social media. But it is a valid way to make money, especially if you're gaming. And a lot of these, and like it's you're just sitting there playing games, hanging out with your audience, and people will pay the cosplayers they like. So I think that is another way, but it's mostly a digital goods kind of income, if that makes sense. You're not selling too much tangible. I think on the flip side, what some cosplayers do, and I probably could start doing a little bit more of now that I'm a little bigger, is you could sell prints. I'd have to really find somebody to print stuff nicely and autograph it, and work with certain photographers. But I'm a little bit more interested in actually self photography. Most of my videos are self made. Actually, this week I'm going to be just buckling down with CapCut and learning some more stuff because I just think the entire with everything that's going on, I think social media is about to get really competitive. And I see a lot of people like just today, like if everybody wants to blame the algorithm, and it's not the
So
algorithm, it's your fucking content.
you're,
It
you're you're
sucks.
bringing up a good point in which that, I mean, tomorrow, the United States Supreme Court has basically said they're banning TikTok. And they're and
TikTok didn't want to sell. I think I just everybody needs to understand. It doesn't sound to me like TikTok actually wanted to sell. So TikTok was not being cooperative in this entire thing, if you
so
ask me.
so the idea is that I like TikTok, right? So I put up an interview, a 60-second clip from an interview that I cut out. That thing can do 3, 4, 5,000 views. And it's a 60-second component. I cut it up in a way that says, hey, if you want to see the full interview, go to my YouTube channel, right on TikTok. I don't know if TikTok loves it or they don't. What I did find out is that TikTok does not like Disney. I found that out the hard way.
TikTok not liking Disney would be a really good way to have Congress sway against you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like having an open beef with Disney. Disney controls so much of the media.
So they don't
own my
like
childhood.
which that I had a video that was Disney oriented and had Disney in the title, and it got like 1 view. And the video before got like 3,000 views, and the video after got like 2,500 views. And that one video only has 1 view, so it's been shadow banned. The video. They really don't like Disney TikTok.
It could also have something to do. The reason why I'm not really on TikTok, and I understand, and I am very sympathetic because I do feel for the people who have made money as a creator on TikTok, whether it's through TikTok views, the creator program, or whether you have a TikTok shop, or whether you've been a creator promoting somebody else's TikTok shop. There is a huge creator economy, and I'm sorry that whether it was the greed of Congress, whether it was the greed of TikTok, and that's really, I think, what's going on here. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's just my information. It's the augmented reality information, that facial mapping that TikTok has from everybody using that as filters. You understand that China could just build an army of Americans, right? like, and that doesn't seem like anything right now, but in 20 years, that could be tremendous. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when the technology catches up for AI and robotics, do you want them making a robot in your liking? Do you want them cloning you?
I think that's the least of the problems. I think that's the least of the problems with the AI stuff, because I'm really big into that and I know a lot about it.
There's a lot of data. That's a lot of data. And they were, from what I understand, they were, there, you can find a buyer. That somebody would have bought that platform because it's money, it's power. It's like you could, like, why? There's all these billionaires. You couldn't find another one to take over TikTok. Come on, they didn't want to find a buyer.
No, it's going to be fascinating what's going to happen. But again, I like TikTok because at this point,
we lived through Vine and MySpace dying.
Again, I think it's going to be resolved. I think it's going to be. I
Oh,
think.
this is not resolving so quick because this is the Supreme Court. You understand that I don't think the president has the power to veto the Supreme Court. I don't think that Trump
They
can
they they
just
they,
veto him.
they don't, because it's an
That's
issue.
how that works. Thankfully, the Supreme Court said
I'm a
the
critical.
Supreme Court literally said they're like, we don't really care what he says. This is what we're saying, and we have final say.
Because
They
it was a
disobeyed us.
lawsuit. It was a lawsuit on law, and it was probably done through administration. So administrations can sue each other, or the government could sue an administration or whatever, and then they made a decision. And you notice it might not be such a bad decision that they made, because if there is foreign complications, it is technically a threat to some degree. And you know, it is. I don't really know either way, but I'm not happy because TikTok's a good platform. Because when I can get 5,000 views to market an interview, and then it gets me views onto
I
YouTube.
personally don't want a platform having my facial mapping that's being sent to another country that we're in a cold war with, which is that's the other concept of
The-
this equation that I think people are
no,
leaving out. And it's like, again, like I think that Meta is not doing anything better, and I'm probably going to be looking towards Clapper. Blue Sky has something coming out. I'm just focusing on YouTube a little bit myself because I don't really like what Meta's doing, and I don't think Meta's any less dangerous. But you have to understand, we are in a cold war with China. So this is the equivalent in the 80s of us like having a platform that Russia controlled, and all of us just like handing our data over
I'm the
willingly.
exact opposite, right? Where I actually don't think that's the problem, because at this point, if somebody
But that
wants to mimic my voice, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, you know.
but there's also artists on these
So,
platforms.
Charles
And
Schwab.
it's been in the Olympics for years. It's been rumored that the reason that China has been won these Olympics is because they've done all sorts of genetic cloning and all sorts of stuff. They're way ahead of us, and ethically speaking, sometimes they've done a few things that, like, when it comes to AI and robotics, I don't want them having my likeness, because that's in a Cold War situation. They have 170 million Americans' data. They're private, and also you don't know what they were recording, because it turned out that Facebook was recording a whole bunch of stuff without our knowledge. And that for Congress to get involved here, God knows what TikTok was taking. And then I do understand, from what I understand, I do remember reading that TikTok was mining data off of phones without our knowledge. Like, that's what a lot of this comes down to.
Again, the
You
amount.
might not care, but it's a lot for the government to
It's
care.
not that I don't care. It's the fact that legitly my iPhone has so much access to data, and it's either I have
No,
parts.
no, no, no. I have my iPhone set so nothing gets shared with these apps. I
This
actually have
is
everything set
right.
so it doesn't get
So
shared.
I'll
I
give you
don't
an
want it shared.
example. I'll give you an example what I mean by this, right? There's so much data that even if you don't share it, it's gonna create a data profile for you. So at this
Yeah,
point,
but you can block how much is sent, and I like to be in control of that.
fair enough.
There are ways to
We're
set
gonna
your,
agree to
especially on an
disagree.
iPhone, that can be set to
I
block
think
that from setting.
this is my take, right? And I'll tell you what I think, right? And then I want to get to your cosplays, but I find this to be fascinating, because I think this is actually related to it all. But what I think about all this stuff is that China has a profile of me, in which that between everything that I've done in the last 10 years, they have a real clear profile of who I am. And if they want to clone me, or they want to clone a digital of me, they can do it with or without any data sharing at this point, because there's so much video content of me out there that they can clone my voice if they wanted to. And whether that's good or bad, that's so instead of me saying, cool, let me protect that, or not data share, I need to figure out a way how to protect me and protect my assets from them cloning it or spotting a clone. So I need a solution or a safeguard, not a data problem. And that's what I think. And that's
Well, it's also like you just said. So, what about the fact that they are controlling the media? They stopped your post about Disney from being sent.
it wasn't
So
a,
they have the power
it was up
to
there. It was up there.
throttle. You just said you got one view when you posted something about Disney and you got thousands of views on everything else. So you're not telling me that they throttled your views based on the content, which means they control the narrative about an entire nation, the entire world's news, because most people are getting their news off of it. I disagree with you. This is very dangerous. I honestly think social media in general is not that much of a positive thing. I think that the mental health of the younger generations versus the younger generations, like like my generation and older, if you look statistically at the happiness levels that were reported by younger people now should be happier because they are living with much better living conditions. They have everything available to them. They have everything at their fingertips, but
Yeah.
they live with crippling anxiety, and there are so many reports, things like suicide and everything are on the rise. These are not going away. I challenge you to say that social media is a huge problem with that, and having an international force be what controls what is on these algorithms, and based on what they feel politically, is because that's what this is. You said they have a problem with Disney. It has to do with politics. That's a political issue. Whether it's an entertainment political issue, I just think that's a little bit of an issue. We have to understand why that might be national security.
My argument with social media is the following, is that I can go and I run an eBay business. So I could go and tout out that, oh, I got this rare comic, and then I could post it in a Facebook group, and then I got 7 buyers, right? But I'm not actively going on social media, and I use it on a business level, right? Because I could reach 7 people, and then somebody's going to buy it, and they're like, oh man, that's the comic I need, right? Or that's the card I need. Or I could tout out an interview, and then it gets views, right? So on a social media level, if you're using it for business, social media has changed the game. But I also think that but also I schedule all my social media out on a Saturday night, and then I don't look at it.
TikTok was a very, very, very marketed towards teens. It was not at all originally marketed for business owners.
So for like Twitter and X, I can schedule 50 posts for the week.
I won't go on, as a female bisexual woman, I will not go on X. I will not go on. It is a cesspool over there. I mean, if you still use it, then you still use it. And I'm afraid that that's what Instagram and Facebook are going to turn into, and I'm probably going to be off. And all it takes is one of these CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg to become an alpha billionaire tech bro one day, from being the little timid kind of beady-eyed rat-looking thing he was for decades. There's a lot of conspiracy theories on how he went from that change.
Look, I view this stuff as tools.
But the bottom line is, he's like up Trump's ass so high that he's willing to take fact checks off of his platform. So it's just, for me, it's just like it's not safe for me to be on X. You know what I'm saying? It's literally not safe. Like we were like talking about how it's damaging. Like, do you see what's going on to women on X right now? Have you seen it? Have you seen what they're doing to girls over there? It's pretty gross.
I mean, look, I don't spend too much time on X, but also I'm watching football, and then me and a bunch of people are just talking about, what do you mean? How did you miss that kick? And then we're all whining, complaining about that. So, but again, it's also nobody's being an asshole because people are just talking about sports. So,
well, the platform is now known for people being assholes. Maybe your experience on that platform is not such, but generally speaking, like there's all these like reports of like women that'll post their accomplishments, and like it's just like men basically saying, "Get back in the kitchen." Also, seriously,
it's different when you're talking about sports or you're talking about wrestling, and like WWE was just on Netflix, right? So a bunch of people were tweeting about it, and it was a very fun environment where nobody was talking about that, and nobody was saying, I'm not saying what you're experiencing and what's out there, it doesn't exist, but if you're just talking about football and the Chiefs versus the Houston Texans, it's not going to be the negative shit that you just explained. That doesn't mean
Well,
that.
I mean, actually, for me, my algorithm for football is something very different because everything that I'm going to see in relation to football is really about came down to Beyonce because she did that halftime show. I think it was Christmas Day, and that just became a whole debate. Like it basically on my thing, where it's like basically people dumping on Beyonce, people saying it was Beyonce Bowl. Like it's just very polarized. If that makes sense. Like there's some people saying that she's the best thing ever to happen to football. And there's people saying she's the worst thing ever. And then it morphed into like my feed was like they were talking about her cover of Jolene. And I'm kind of Beyonce neutral. Like I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, and I wouldn't say a hater. I'm just kind of interested in. I find it fascinating. Speaking of pop culture, I mean, she was just I'm not sure who announced this, but they said that she is now the queen of pop of this century. Like whereas Michael Jackson would have been considered for last century, they're saying she's now the queen of pop, and this is being widely debated and celebrated by different people. I mean, but to say that she's not an icon would be a mistake. I mean, the woman is absolutely unstoppable. And I think part of the reason that she took on country was because she was fucking bored. Like, and I don't think she really cares what you think about her Jolene cover. I think Jolene is a very complicated song. Again, you want to have a conversation about pop culture. I think that Dolly Parton and Beyonce are two iconic figures in pop culture that warrant a lot of talking about. And that's just been what's on my feed. Two very strong women. I'm very sad. Very, very sad about what's going on with Diddy and Puffy. I don't know. I think you said you were born, but like one of the things that I've had to kind of watch over the last few months was, and I was really, I was born in 77. So I was born around the time of hip hop's birth. So I've actually gotten to work. And even though like, I'm probably a little bit more of an electronic music fan, I've also been involved in the punk scene. But hip hop has always been there and I've always liked it. But growing up in New York in Brooklyn, you have to understand what Biggie was and what things like Wu-Tang were to us. They were really hometown heroes. Like if you drive in the street in the summertime in Brooklyn and certain songs come on, it's just everybody just starts singing them, like in certain clubs at certain times, like certain songs just drop, and it's just that vibe. And Puffy was known to have been what made these artists. He made Biggie, he made Mary J. Blige, he made Little Kim, he made so many songs that we loved and we knew. And
Any
then
respects influential on J-Lo?
yeah, they crossed paths for a little bit of time there. I mean, and she's absolutely, also somebody that, again, another icon in pop culture. I think before her, nobody really knew where Puerto Rico was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and she faced a lot of shit for it. She faced a lot of shit. Like she faced a lot of racism, for being for being like people, like she had to like, she had to break a lot of boundaries, I think, to really get where she is. And it's just very sad. With her, she's kind of, just a diva, but like with Puffy, there's 150 people who are coming out and saying that he did these awful things. And then to hear the case against Jay-Z, like a 13-year-old girl, I mean, these are not light charges. These are not light things. And it's just heartbreaking to hear that somebody that you thought of as your hero is just absolutely might be a monster to somebody else.
Too, that's complicated. R. Kelly, right? Because R. Kelly, and the reason why is that it's tricky when you have people who have done amazing things, but they also done horrible things and things that are not.
But R. Kelly off the bat married a 15-year-old when he was like 30. So it's just like with Puffy, like there was no like.
Get it. But I guess the point is that it's like your heroes do important things for music and change the game and brought something else out. But then what do you do now when they've done something so bad that you have to disavow it, right? I think that's the right word, right?
It took me a really long time with Michael Jackson because I was a huge Michael Jackson fan. And I think to a certain level, I have to figure out where my plug is for my computer. It's going to go out. I think on a certain level, you always kind of knew that he might have done something wrong. And then when the documentary came out on Netflix, this is very controversial. And I had to listen. I never get through the whole documentary. I'll be really honest. Because the kid that is accusing him, who's not a kid, he's like my age now. Um, I grew up watching those commercials, so it was so personal to hear what these people, these kids were dealing with, because it's like you were the same age as these kids and you looked up. So you can put yourself in this kid's shoes. Like, he was a hero, and you can see how things could have happened, and obviously the on the flip side, people like, he's not here to defend himself, but I mean, he was really weird with these kids. Like, it's just like, this was beyond anything that was anything near normal. Like, it is not normal to be naked in bed with children. Like, just, if you're 40 years old, just don't hang out naked. I would never be naked in a bed with a 5-year-old kid. Like, it's just, there's just absolutely no world in which that would be normal, unless, even if they were my kid, like, maybe if they were my, but there's just no. And then, like, paying off the parents to, like, hang out with them is just. So when I remember when I went through that, it was like hard to disassociate the man from the music. But the reality is I love his music, and I don't have to stop listening to the music. I don't have to stop listening to the music.
I mean, look, I don't know if you've heard. So obviously, I've heard horror stories in wrestling. I've heard horror stories in cosplay. I've heard horror stories with actors at conventions, and all this stuff changes. There's a reason why when I go to a con now, I don't go to an after party. I have no desire, because I
have to plug my computer in. It's going to die. So sorry.
Take your time.
Oh, I don't really go to after parties, just because I'm old and I just don't really party. But I've experienced a few weird things with cosplay in my time, so I understand why you don't want to hang out with anybody, because it'll just skew your
So I will tell you why I don't do it. Right, I am a 32-year-old single man who obviously is becoming wealthier and wealthier every year, and I don't feel comfortable at a party where something can go wrong and then I might have a bigger issue and I might get sued. And it's honest, where
sued for what?
Because an accusation might be thrown. Seriously, as a single guy who
So you're afraid to go out because you're afraid of getting sued?
Because you know what it is? It happens. And when you become wealthier and wealthier, no, this
what
is
are you afraid of? This is an odd conversation.
But it's not. It's really not.
I don't understand what you're saying. You think a girl is going to sue you for your money and she's going to accuse you of raping her? Is that what you're saying? I want to just make sure I understand what you're saying.
To some degree,
because I think you're really off base. I think that you're really off base. I think that women do not falsely accuse men of sexual assault because they get ridiculed, and it is incredibly traumatic to do that. And I'm saying that to you as somebody who was sexually assaulted. So I really think that you need to watch what you're saying about this, because I think generally we need to believe victims and not believe them. And I think this rhetoric you're talking about, that people are after you for your money and women are after you for your money, and that you're going to touch somebody and you're going to get sued, is absolutely off fucking base.
So I've been in a bar and I was speaking to a girl. I'm like, hi, how are you? And then what winds up happening is that, like, the bouncer comes to me and says, sir, what's going on here? I said, I was just saying hi to her.
Yeah, you must have done something different to her.
But I
You must have done something different. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because you must have been done. The only way a girl calls you over is if you did something to make her feel very uncomfortable. So I'm going to challenge you here and say that you're doing something to make these women feel like this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to say, as a female who has gone out clubbing from the time she was 14 to the time she was about 40 years old, that I very rarely see what you're talking about. And I most often see women who are uncomfortable, have to leave places and be put in situations
Oh,
where
that's
they will wind up being sexually assaulted. They very rarely lie and make up stories to get money out of guys. I just think that this is a very dangerous rhetoric you're telling yourself and you're telling your audience. And I won't be a part of it, and I will not be silenced. So if you
okay.
want to continue to have this conversation, I will absolutely debate you on all of this, because I think that I think that you need to evaluate your behavior around these women, and it might be that you need to evaluate your behavior around alcohol. And you might want to stay sober around these girls. That might be the issue. That might not be the girls. It might not be the environment. It might be the alcohol. I would challenge you to evaluate your behavior when you're drinking. If you're finding that girls are calling bouncers over
No.
when you're hanging out having a drink with them, there's a reason for that.
I'll tell you, it happened once. And then, I went to the other side of the bar, and then I was just speaking to a girl, and we had a great conversation. And then we wound up going down for dinner. So sometimes
But if you're going to a bar with the intention of trying to walk out with a girl's number, and that sounds like it's what you did because you went to girl number 2 to get her number to go on a date, then girls pick up on that, and that's creepy. I'm sorry, we're not just numbers. We're people. Like it's just, we know your game. We know your game. That girl figured you out. Please don't blame the girl like she's gonna sue you for your money.
again.
It's just like I think that everybody needs to understand that victims very rarely come out. I mean, look at what happened with that Brock Turner case, right? That girl was so obviously raped, and the guy was just like, "Well, what about his future?"
That was crazy.
But that's not. It's very representative of what goes on in the real world in the USA. What you're talking about doesn't really go on too often. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Because women get, as soon as they get like even, I was watching this thing on Facebook that was like saying that Jessica Alba's divorcing Cash Warren, and they were saying she's not asking for alimony. It was like a post. It was like, excuse me, Jessica Alba is worth millions of dollars. She does not need, like, it's still like
I didn't know who these people are.
Well, she was a very famous actor that she created her own like cosmetics line, so she's worth millions. You don't know who she is because she doesn't need to act anymore, because she made so much money investing her money into businesses that when she divorces this guy, he was like a camera guy or some crap like that. She actually doesn't need to ask him for alimony because she has her own money. But the culture is so misogynistic that the Facebook post is still saying like, "Oh, she didn't need alimony," and people are like believing it. It's like, well, she didn't need alimony because she was the breadwinner. People still want to believe that the girl is still gold digging, but it's like, no, he's probably going to ask her for alimony. It's the other way around.
Look at Khloe Kardashian. She's a monster, and she's great. I love her. She's great. She's killing it. I mean, she's married to what was it, or was she married to one of the basketball players?
I think the basketball player that she was married to actually just announced that he's with a trans model now. I think that's what's going on. I think that was the news I read the other day.
Was it like I forget who it was, but he was like a basketball player, and then he was
Odar. I don't really know. I'm pretty sure he just announced that he's with a trans model now.
Was he like found like with a girl in a club, and like I'm like,
I think he was found several times cheating on her.
If I was married to Khloe Kardashian, I would not cheat on Khloe Kardashian because she's
a billionaire,
and she's rich, she's smart, and this is gonna sound. I'm not
a Kardashian fan, but she's a billionaire. It's just like, what else?
Jackpot if you're a guy dating Khloe Kardashian. I'm sorry.
But that just speaks volumes for the type of guys that they're dating. They're just trashy. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I mean, there's nothing, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, there's nothing wrong with them. Like, if you're choosing to date a Kardashian.
I don't get Kim Kardashian with Kanye West. That thing just mind blows me.
No, look what they did to him, though. Look at he was a perfectly functional human being at the beginning of that, and now he was always kind of a jerk, but now it's like now he has like now his wife is like some kind of bot on a leash that's naked. Like, what is that? Like, are we just like, why? Like, have you seen that? Like, it's just like a naked girl in a cat suit, kind of naked cat suit thing, and she's on a leash. It looks like
it's like
what he's doing. Is that BDSM?
Right?
There's something really wrong with that. Something
Oh my,
really wrong with that.
just. I mean, look, I like what Kim Kardashian's done with Skins. I think that's a really cool company,
Oh, you
and
think it's really cool that ad that she's promoting while as the fires rage in LA?
I didn't see
I
that one. It's not as
So
bad as
the
State
Kardashians,
Farm.
I'm not gonna have a positive conversation about the conversation Kardashians because I think that they
No,
basically have they're the biggest cultural appropriationists
so
ever. They're known to steal black women's ideas, try to look like black women. They steal black guys probably from black women, and then they they kind of don't do anything to uplift the communities from that they're stealing from. That would be one of the reasons that they're problematic. Another reason that they might be problematic is they have all these cosmetic procedures and then deny them and then try to tell you that you'll get a butt like this if you buy their Skims, which is just not true because she's had probably, I don't know, 3 Brazilian butt lifts, liposuction, Ozempic. Like, I mean, like a girl. Listen, I'm not shaming it because it's like, listen, I'll inject needles into my face, and if I had as much money as she did, I'd probably get as much surgery too. But like, let's be real. Should you be selling a skim if you've had a BBL and a rib removed in surgery? I mean, like, I'm a Pilates teacher, and I will tell you, yes, I've had Botox, but my body is my body. Everything you see in my body is my body. It's not liposuction. I am not wearing a shaper. Like, when I tell you that this is what's going to change your body, it's because I've used it. It's not because I went to a doctor and got Ozempic. Like, if I'm going to tell you what I ate in a day, this is what I ate in a day. It's not what I ate in a day, and then like leave out whatever concoction of weight loss medication I'm taking. Like, it's
so
just not ethical.
let's actually talk about that relating back to cosplay because I think that people should be able to feel comfortable in whatever they want to wear, right? I don't think that you have to be jacked to be Superman, right?
Yeah, and I feel like
Now,
this is really bad for guys because I think a lot more guys are being like than in years past, especially with cosplay, because they want to fill out their suits and they don't feel big enough. And then on the other end of the spectrum, guys that are maybe a little bit softer in their bellies or something like that, they just feel like, that they can't wear them because they're not in shape enough. It's very heartbreaking for me to watch. I'm not one of these girls that thinks that men are terrible creatures, like they should just experience the same things that we have, but it's heartbreaking to see that now, like, it's gotten to a point where
but
poor guys are really being body shamed too.
but my issue with cosplay just in general though is that I do want effort. So I don't care what body size you are, but I would like to I don't want somebody to be like they're wearing a Superman shirt and they say I'm Superman, right? That's not cosplay. So
I think that we don't have a right to judge, and I think that there's different incomes and different abilities, and I think that in 10 years ago that there was not such elaborate cosplays. And I think that being a
depends.
cosplay snob doesn't get anybody anywhere, and I think
I
that
guess
we should
what I'm
be
arguing
welcoming.
is that where I'm going with this is that what is cosplay and what isn't? Because if
Cosplay is just simply short for costume play.
no,
That is
but
all it
you
means.
understand where I'm going with this, right? Because I think
That's all it means. I think people are looking way too much into this, if you ask me. And I think that's where the judgmentalness comes in, and
if
that's where
I'm
the danger
wearing,
comes in.
I'm gonna ask a question. If I just wear a Superman shirt to a Comic Con, am I Superman?
No, but you're. I wouldn't say that you're a cosplayer, but you're definitely, an enthusiast.
So that's where I'm going with this is that I am totally fine with somebody making their Superman costume and it's not being like a $10,000 Superman cosplay, right? I respect people who put effort and have maybe $100 to make it, and I respect people who say I'm gonna go thrift my costume. And like I appreciate the challenge of somebody saying I'm gonna spend $50 and I want to have a better costume than somebody who spent 10,000 because those are my
But
favorite.
then there's some people who don't have $50; they only have $5. So that Superman
Fair enough,
shirt is their cosplay.
but we're just being selective now and being nitpicky. The point I'm making is that I like to see effort because I think
Yeah,
effort
of course.
is
But I mean, I think that for me as a cosplayer who puts a lot of effort in, I don't concern myself with what other people are doing. I stick to what I'm doing. And I think that there's a live and let live here. And I think that the attitude of saying that's cosplay, that's not cosplay, I don't like that, there's not enough effort, I think that can be very toxic. And I think it's okay to think those things, but I think that when we choose to speak words and when we choose to look at somebody and speak those words, I think that we should be very careful about what we say. And I think that cosplay can be very exclusive, even though a lot of people say it can be very inclusive. I think that there's a lot of people who
I
don't have a lot of money, especially the younger kids, and it's the younger kids who are more judgmental. And the only way that we can sway it is, especially as somebody who's a little bit older, is to not be judgmental, right? Is just to say like, no, that's your cosplay, that's your cosplay. Like you've got to start somewhere.
I agree in which that I don't have a problem with somebody just wearing a cosplay and they bought it and then they modified it, right? Because I think that's cool. Because the point is that it's supposed to be worn and seen, right? I think that's the point of cosplay, is that when you're cosplaying, it's a craft to build your cosplay. Hopefully, if you're building it, you enjoy crafting it, right? But also, there's an idea where you're wearing and embodying and being that character, right? So if you go purchase a cosplay, I think that's just as good as if you built it, right? And if you're having a good time at a convention, I think that's awesome. So I don't care if you bought it or you made it, but if you made it, I'm like, and I ask you questions, I'm like, how did you do that? That cape looks sick. Like I love it. Or like people are really good at 3D printing. And I've had conversations with people who 3D print, like weaponry. And I'm like, oh man, how'd you do it? Because I don't have that skill. And it's fascinating. So that's what I like to see with cosplay. And that's what I think is interesting, right? So, but that's what I mean by effort. So like I want people to be prideful of their cosplays. And in which I want somebody to be proud to be what they're wearing, right? Because I've seen people at cons and it's the worst thing ever when somebody's dressed as Superman and they don't know anything about Superman. It's not good. In which that you should be.
I don't know. I just like I said, I just really just couldn't. I concern myself with my cosplay, and I think that we should live and let live. And I think that the less that we concern ourselves with other people, and the more that we concern with making ourselves the best people that we can be. And I think that we need to have a certain understanding that people have different abilities, different skills, and different budgets. And I think that we should be as welcoming as possible. And I think that it's okay to have preferences. It's okay to prefer when people put efforts in. It's okay to prefer, like you can follow whoever you want. But I think that if you see somebody at the con and they just have a Superman t-shirt and that's all, that's their level of participation in cosplay, then respect it. It's just, you don't know where somebody's coming from. You don't know what they're dealing with. So just be kind. That is what I'm going to implore you to say.
I don't
Like,
judge
don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like if you see them, and it's just like, this is like my whole thing is I just think that the kinder and the nicer that we can be, worry about what you're doing, worry about your costume, worry about your collectibles, worry about your collection, worry about your Instagram, worry about your, you know what I'm saying? It's just like what they're doing is just encourage people to do it too. But people will become better at what they do by you being positive with them and giving them positive encouragement than giving them negative, if that makes sense. So
I,
if you see somebody and you think that they didn't put enough effort, just, you can make suggest, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, but saying like, oh, that's
I,
low
I
effort, it looks like shit, is just not going to
no, no,
encourage them.
no. Again. If somebody asks me my honest opinion about something and they want an honest opinion, I will tell them saying, hey, look, I
But
think
do
you
people ever really ask for honest opinions, or do people on the internet
it
go
depends.
around giving their I'd say 99% of the time people are on the internet giving out honest opinions when nobody wanted them. You scroll through the comments on people, it's just cruel.
What
I was like looking at just randomly, like I was like, one thing that stuck out to me on Instagram, there was a guy, and I didn't really know the context, but like he posted a picture, like, because I have a fitness account, he posted a picture of himself like sober and he was a little chunky. Then he said like he shredded, and he like showing him like he was like more muscular, like more defined, and he's like drinking all these, like it was all these like clips of him like getting wasted and like drinking, and the comments were all, you weren't really shredded, because I guess his body fat was 15%, like, and to then like body fat 10%. So it was just like, it's just like this is the world we live in. It's just like he's talking about like how he feels like he gained weight getting sober, and it's just like everybody's just like focused on the fact he wasn't skinny enough when he was. It's just like I think we got something wrong
So,
here. I just think we got something wrong
see what
here.
happens in my honest opinions, right? So what'll happen in comics is that someone says, "Hey, look, here's the 6 covers I have. What do you guys think is the best one?" Right? And so it's a voting type thing. Because somebody's trying to figure out, cool, these are my top 6 comic covers I did for the year across 5 Kickstarters. Which one do you guys like the best? And then they'll just run it in a poll, right? Or I've had cosplayers say, "Hey, look, what do you think is my best cosplay for the year?" Right? So they're not asking for negative feedback, but they're just trying to get an idea, and they're not
Yeah,
just
that's different. Yeah, but that's different.
like,
That's not like.
or sometimes somebody says, "Hey, what did you think of this Superman?" Or "What did you think of that pose that I did?" Where which
Yeah,
picture?
I think in those cases, give feedback, sure. But I think the kid that's walking around in just a Superman shirt and calling it cosplay, he probably doesn't want feedback, and he probably doesn't need to be told that his cosplay is lame. He probably knows his cosplay is lame, and he probably doesn't have any other resources to buy it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? You
yeah,
know
oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's just
I
like
don't.
don't discourage the people who don't have a
Oh,
lot.
of
Do you know what
course
I'm
not.
saying? If you want to pick on the big influence, like I'm not saying it's right to leave a negative comment on a big influencer's, like I don't think you should do that either, but I'm gonna say that the influencer with 100,000 followers that's making, that's got a ton of sponsorship deals. If you want to
Again,
say something negative, if they
I
ask like,
don't
"Do you like this pose?" and you say, "No, you
look.
like crap," then
I think
that's
listen,
different.
right.
Please don't discourage the little kids, the little people. I
I'll put it
see.
this way, right? So sometimes people leave negative feedbacks on my YouTube stuff, and they're not helpful, right? They're like,
Yeah, they love doing that on YouTube.
I had somebody say,
I get
"Can't
told they look
stand."
like a witch. I get told they look trans a lot.
So I had somebody go. I put up an interview from almost 10 years ago, and it was just audio, right? And so it was like, "I can't stand this person's voice," and I'm like, "I don't know how to help you." It was my response, because I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I don't know how to help you." Like,
They're like, next time can you wear a different color? You match your yoga mat too much. And I'm just like, my channel is not monetized at all. And my videos are very much homemade. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like
how do
there's nothing
I,
about my YouTube channel that says professionally done. There's nothing about that channel that says professionally done. I'm just like, okay, thank you. Like,
I've had people.
you're welcome to go find another fucking channel and find your goddamn fucking yoga video and Pilates video. Go for it.
When I get negative feedback and somebody's like, "I can't stand the voice of this person," I'm like, "I don't know how to help you." But then again, sometimes people are helpful, saying, "Hey, maybe you want to ask how somebody pronounces their name." And look, we all make mistakes. It's called life. I'm a human being, right? I'm not,
But some
perfect.
some of the comments are just they could be a little choice. YouTube tends to not be so bad. The videos that go viral on any platform, I always get a lot of negativity. On one of my YouTube, I have like 70,000 views on one video. I had to actually post at the top, like, because people were just complaining about the music. They were just complaining, and it's just like, and this is like my first video, and I was just like, it was like how to use the stretching strap is a 30-minute video, and producing a 30-minute yoga video actually takes a lot of work, and I was nowhere near being monetized. I had to say like I'm not monetized. I did this in my house. If you don't like it, you can find it another, like, and there really just isn't a lot of videos that do this exact thing. Like, I'm sorry you don't like the quality. This is what I'm working with. I'm sorry if you don't like electronic music. That's what I like, and that's what I'm going to put on my videos.
Video that has like 40 or 50,000 views on YouTube, right? It's 3 minutes. It's the worst thing I've ever produced, yet it has the most views ever.
Yeah, this video I never would have thought would have done this well.
I define what an OVA is, right? In 3 minutes or less, I answer a question that everybody has in anime in 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, you have an answer, you have a real understanding of what it is, you have examples, and everyone's like, cool. And people are like, "Oh, your voice is off, and this is not good," and but like there's all this negative stuff. But I'm like, it still has 50,000.
It's like when they tell you like somebody's like your voice. I don't like your. Unlike your face, it's just, do you want to buy me a fucking new one? Like, I mean, I'll take it. You got $50,000,
Again,
buddy. I'll fucking take it. You want to pay the surgeon
my
for
response
$50,000?
to
I'll take a new face, sure, motherfucker. Like, what do
my
you want?
response to people is, how do I help you? I'm sorry that you don't like my guest. I'm sorry that you don't like the voice of somebody. I've interviewed everybody and everything. I've interviewed somebody who is a crypto expert. I've interviewed people who are trans. I've interviewed gay people, straight people, people who are undisclosed, people who are weird as fuck, people who are just talking about business, right? And that's off. And I'm like, great. If you don't like the interview,
don't follow them.
Don't watch
Tune
it.
out. You can hit stop and hit next video on YouTube.
Me, I didn't come to you. You came across this on YouTube, and I'm sorry that you don't like it, right? That's your problem. That's not Andrew's problem.
That is a you problem. But I don't like it. And the thing is that always, like, it's so rare that I ever feel the need to make a negative comment on any post. I just scroll. Boop. Next video.
Usually the way it works is that if you get negative and nasty with me, and I let it go, but if you continue, I will respond, and it will be escalated, because depending on what is being said, right? Depending on what's being said. If you say, "Oh, Andrew, you sucked at that interview," I'm like, "Sorry, I couldn't help you." But like, if you start going deep and you start attacking my guest, we have a problem. And I've only banned one person because they were making comments in a live stream that were inappropriate. So I had a guest who is trans, and this person was making comments saying she looks like a man. And so at that point, I didn't even address it. I just banned them from commenting in the chat.
And this is a big reason why I really I looked at streaming at one point, like, as a, like, could this be a way that I could, look to potentially make an income, from the donations. And it's just such a toxic world with streaming. The streamers were like, there's chat boards where they just like sit and talk, and like they'll, like, if they know somebody's live and they don't like that streamer, they're like going like they'll like swarm chats. It's crazy.
I've been EFAP'd, and there's been accusations where there's been some bad things that were pretty defaming that were said to me that may or may not result in a lawsuit on my end, because if you EFAP me and you make a statement in the same tonality.
What's EFAP?
EFAPing is when you or I think or e-streaming, whatever it is. It's when one stream watches another live stream.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then they give commentary about that thing.
It's generally not done in a positive light. It's generally done in a negative light.
But,
right?
But if you say, "Oh, Andrew's an asshole," that's an opinion, right? If you say something, Andrew is killing children, that's no longer.
Oh, did you know that Drake is suing Universal Music over Kendrick Lamar's song? Did you hear about that?
I did not.
Yeah, Drake is suing Kendrick Lamar and Universal Music Group over the song. And mostly, a lot of it is over the certified pedophile comment.
So
he's saying that that's where it took it too far. First of all, I guess soon after the release of, he lives in Canada, or he lived in Canada, Drake. Soon after that release, somebody dug underneath his gates with guns and shot his house up and almost killed one of his security guards.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are like, it's just a hip hop battle. Well, in 2025, this is a little bit different because of the fan culture.
This isn't, proof with Eminem in the club. That was a hip hop battle, but that wasn't dealing with defamation.
Yeah, exactly. That a hip hop battle takes place in the club. This is like, it's the certified pedophile comment that is what's it also he had to pull his kids out. His kids started getting ridiculously bullied at school, and he had got so many people coming to his house trying to like shoot him and all this stuff. He had to move out of Canada.
It's not like Jay-Z and Jay-Z's past is not a pretty past. I mean, nobody says Jay-Z is a saint, right? But Jay-Z,
Yeah. A lot of it's the sort of, and a lot of it, like if you read from what I could read, a lot of it has to do with him being called a pedophile. That's what
yeah,
incited so much of this violence, and that's what's affecting
this
his
is not a
kids.
hip hop battle. This is a much, much, much.
Well, there's people have a lot of different opinions. I like the song. I think but as a general, I've loved Drake for years. But I do know that there have been accusations of him grooming that girl, but I just don't know if there was actual sexual relations with him and that girl. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the whole thing. It's just like, we do not know the context of that. And it's not like, do you know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, Drake has been linked to Rihanna. He's been linked to a whole bunch of people. It's not like he's got like hundreds of little kids. There, from what I understand, there was like one girl that he was like supposedly grooming, but I don't know if there's actual proof that he had a relationship with her. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, so it's just like,
We don't know in that regard.
no, we don't know. And it's also like another big thing I know, like as far as like rabid fans, like I know Chappelle Rowan. I don't know if you know who that is. She's a newer artist. She sings that Pink Pony Club, the Pink Pony Club. I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pony. Yeah, she sings a bunch of songs. She's a newer pop artist. And what she's gotten a lot of press for is that she's refusing to deal with rude fans and paparazzi. So she's been videoed, like paparazzi will like say something, like they'll try to get a picture of the award show, and she just mouths the fuck off to them. And her attitude is just the toxic environment that the fans are creating. Like she's like, I'm okay with not having any interaction with the fans. So it's like, when like there's no boundaries between fans and their artists anymore.
I'm not a hip hop guy.
She's not a hip hop artist. She's like this, like kind of pop, kind of Lady Gaga kind of thing.
I get it, but like I don't really listen to new music. Like I listen to like the Rolling Stones, the Who.
It's conversations in pop culture.
It is, but like I'm more interested in like anime, wrestling, all that stuff. Like I'm not a huge hip hop guy. Like I'm not anti hip hop. It's just not my jam. Like, and I'm just not knowledgeable in it. Like I know who Drake is. I know the Pete Diddy stuff. I know Dr. Dre, Eminem. You know,
these are conversations in pop culture. But listen, I do have to get going. I have to get my day a little bit. I have a few things to get done, like including finish a YouTube upload and get some work around that done.
We didn't get to anything.
Chatting with you.
We didn't get to anything of your cosplays, but where could people find you?
You can find me 2 different handles right now. I'm posting a lot of my cosplay fitness content is under Jessi Fit Pilates. I am on Instagram at Jessi Fit Pilates, and also on YouTube, Jessi Fit Pilates. So it's 3 different words. I am in the middle also of rebuilding on a lot of platforms, just because of what's going on with social media. My other handle is at Jessi Flowz. Jessi Flowz, you can also find me on Instagram, but I'm really looking to rebuild everything on YouTube. So I have Jessi Fit Pilates on YouTube, and I'm also looking to open another handle. I've been trying to do this, it is open, called It's Not Jessi Flowz on YouTube, and that will be all cosplay. So I'll have a cosplay channel and a fitness channel, and the fitness channel will be mostly. So I'm looking a little bit more YouTube. I'm also on Clapper, Blue Sky, Instagram. I am on TikTok, but I think that's a dead horse at this point. I'm gonna leave that alone.
I've heard Clapper forever. I haven't heard that one in a while. Oh,
Clapper is actually, I think for if you're posting spicy content and you're looking for an alternative,
I know what it is. I just haven't heard it in a good 6 months. That's all.
I think I think that you shouldn't sleep on that platform. I've gotten great views out of that platform. I just haven't been that consistent with it, and every time I go back to it, I seem to just they're really low key over there. If you go live, you can make money live. Just being live, not doing anything, just live. You accumulate money. So there's a lot of incentives to be over there, and they are very spicy content friendly. So I do recommend spicy content friendlies. A lot of people are talking to Red Note. I'm not doing Red Note. If I can't read your terms, I'm not joining. Suddenly everybody can understand Mandarin.
So,
The same people who were like epidemiologists during the epidemic 5 years ago, they also know Mandarin now.
mm. So the clapper thing just made me laugh. But I can't tell the story live why it made me laugh. So I'm gonna just table it there. It's a good
Okay.
story, but it made me laugh because I haven't heard that one in a while. But obviously, I'm gonna recommend everybody go check out what you do. Go check out
Awesome.
media, and
Thank
then
you so much.
as far as I'm concerned, because it is my show, I'm gonna promote myself. Um, I have Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook. I tweet a lot about sports on Twitter. So if you just want to see me losing all my money on the Boston Celtics, come watch me on Twitter. Or the Knicks. Usually that's what happens is I'm whining and complaining that
I
they
was gonna
cost
say you must
$10.
lose a lot of money on the Knicks. I don't think they're doing well.
They're doing okay. They're doing
Oh,
okay.
are they? Okay.
You'll see me be very upset when the Boston Celtics are like a negative 20,000 and they lose. And then like I go on like a 90-minute tweet fest. It's amusing. It's amusing for everybody who's bet against me and they see that. And like I get creative in my tweets. It's a spectacle. So if you really want to see what X and Twitter is for, just wait till the Boston Celtics lose and come follow me on Twitter/X.
Okay, will do.
You'll be like, oh my God, why can't he just be this creative in life in general? But all jokes aside, I also do run an eBay business, and you can come look for us as soon as I got my little graphic up here. Look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay, and I sell a lot of cool stuff. I sell cards like this in my store. I sell stuff like this in my store, which are base relics. I do sell a lot of WNBA stuff like this in my store as well as baseball cards and a bunch of other cool stuff. So if you're looking for some really cool comics, baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards, I carry a lot of rare stuff, and I carry stuff that's like 5 of 5s, 10 of 10s, 1 of 1s. So yeah, but it can get really expensive really quickly. I'm going to be having cards probably tomorrow that are $500 cards in my store. So again, if you're really into the hobby and you want to buy cool stuff, I got you covered. And if I do not have what you're looking for, hit me up because I might have it. Or if I don't, I will find somebody who does, and I'm more than happy to make an introduction for you to get you what you want, everybody. So that's everything that I got. Again, it's Pop Anime Comics Collectibles on eBay, and I ship out pretty quick. So you name it, I probably got it. Or if I don't, as I stated before, I will find it for you and hook you up, and you'll be happy to go, and you'll get your collection done and everything else. And that's everything that I got, and I'm going to give you the final word.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our conversations today. And like I said, come and work out in cosplay with me, Jessi Flowz and Jessi Flowz.
And I believe that is a wrap, everybody.